The music from the bar still hummed in Julian's ears, a happy tune that matched the lightness in his step. He pushed open the heavy oak door, letting the cooler night air wash over him. Beside him, Liam chuckled, a warm sound that made Julian smile even wider. They had spent hours inside, laughing and talking, their voices a little louder than usual thanks to the sweet taste of gin and tonics. The lively bar had been a blur of friendly faces and clinking glasses, but now, out on the street, the world felt clearer, sharper, and full of possibility. Liam stretched, his arms reaching for the sky. "Phew, that was quite the night, wasn't it?" he said, his breath a soft cloud in the cool air. Julian nodded, pulling his jacket tighter. A pleasant buzz spread through his body, making him feel floaty and free. He glanced at Liam, whose eyes sparkled under the streetlights. Liam had a way of making every moment feel exciting, like a new adventure was just around the corner. "Definitely a good night," Julian agreed, a little sigh escaping his lips. He felt relaxed and content, the kind of happy where all worries seemed far away. The city hummed around them, a comforting background noise to their shared contentment. Taxis zipped by, their yellow lights painting streaks across the damp pavement. Liam pointed to one, a grin spreading across his face. "Taxi, let's grab that one, we can split it." Julian didn't argue. The thought of a cozy ride home sounded perfect. The yellow taxi pulled up to the curb with a soft hiss of its brakes. Liam opened the back door with a flourish, bowing slightly as he gestured for Julian to get in. Julian laughed, a light, airy sound, and slid across the worn leather seat. The smell of old upholstery and a faint hint of air freshener filled the small space. Liam hopped in right after him, pulling the door shut with a solid thunk that sealed them inside their own little world. "All right, homebound," Liam announced, leaning forward to tell the driver their destinations. Julian leaned back, letting the gentle sway of the car soothe him. The streetlights outside blurred into long streaks of color, painting the windows with fleeting patterns. Sharing a ride made sense. It was cheaper, of course, but it was also a nice way to extend the good feelings of the night. The thought of going home alone right after such a fun time felt a bit sad, but with Liam beside him, the evening still felt alive. Liam turned back, his knee brushing Julian's as the car took a gentle turn. "So, what did you think of the new bartender's cocktails?" he asked, his voice a little softer now that the bar's noise was gone. Julian smiled, remembering the fruity, bubbly drink he'd had. "Pretty good, stronger than they tasted, though." He winked and Liam chuckled. The alcohol still hummed happily in Julian's veins, making everything feel a bit warmer, a bit brighter. It was nice sharing this quiet moment, this comfortable closeness in the back of the cab. The city lights danced outside, a silent disco just for them. The taxi was a small, dark cocoon, shielding them from the outside world. The only light came from the faint glow of the dashboard and the kaleidoscope of city lights streaking past the windows. Each passing streetlight, neon sign, and car headlight painted a quick, bright stripe across the dark interior before vanishing. Julian found himself watching the show, mesmerized by the fleeting colors. The soft rumble of the engine and the gentle rocking of the car added to the cozy feeling, making him feel safe and tucked away. Liam leaned back against the seat, his shoulder now almost touching Julian's. The closeness was pleasant, a natural part of sharing such a small space. Julian could smell Liam's cologne, a fresh, woody scent that mixed nicely with the faint smell of old leather in the cab. It was a comforting smell, familiar from their many nights out. The buzz from the drinks made everything feel a little softer, a little dreamier. Julian closed his eyes for a moment, letting the warmth of the alcohol spread through him. When he opened them again, Liam was looking at him, a soft smile playing on his lips. The passing city lights made his eyes sparkle for a moment, then disappear into shadow. The quiet hum of the taxi felt louder now, filling the space between them. Julian felt a little flutter in his chest, a feeling he couldn't quite name. It wasn't just the drinks anymore. There was something else in the air, something new and exciting in the dark, cozy space. Liam's smile deepened and he shifted, turning more fully towards Julian. His voice dropped to a soft murmur, almost a whisper, as if sharing a secret just for the two of them. You know, he began, his gaze steady on Julian's, I always have a good time when we go out, but tonight it felt extra special. Julian felt a warm tingle spread through him, not just from the gin and tonics, but from Liam's words, spoken so close in the dim light of the taxi. The alcohol made his skin feel more alive, more sensitive to the air, to the quiet hum of the engine, and especially to Liam's presence. His cheeks felt a little flushed, and he wasn't sure if it was the drinks or something else entirely. He swallowed, trying to find his voice. Yeah, Julian managed, his own voice a little huskier than he intended. Me too, it was really good. He met Liam's eyes, and for a moment the city outside faded away. All that mattered was the small space they shared, the soft glow of passing lights reflecting in Liam's dark eyes, and the quiet rhythm of their breathing. The confined space of the backseat felt less like a cage and more like a private little bubble, floating through the night. Liam's hand, which had been resting casually between them on the seat, moved slightly, his fingers almost brushing Julian's. The air between them felt thick with unspoken things, a comfortable tension that made Julian's heart beat a little faster. The drinks had definitely made him bolder, more open to whatever this moment might hold. He leaned back just a fraction, letting the warmth of Liam's gaze wash over him. The night felt young, full of quiet promises. The taxi hit a small bump in the road, a gentle jolt that was enough to make Liam shift. He didn't just settle back into his spot, though. Instead, he moved a little closer to Julian, closing the small gap that had been between their bodies. Julian could feel the warmth of Liam's leg through his jeans, a sudden, surprising heat that made his breath catch. It wasn't an accidental brush. It was a deliberate, soft press that sent a shiver down Julian's spine. The air in the taxi, already thick with unspoken feelings, now felt charged with something electric. Julian didn't move, holding his breath, unsure how to react. His heart was thumping a quick, happy rhythm against his ribs. The alcohol had made him bold earlier, but now a pleasant nervousness fluttered in his stomach. He glanced at Liam, whose gaze was still fixed on him, a soft, knowing look in his eyes. The passing city lights painted Liam's face in quick flashes, highlighting the curve of his smile. Liam didn't say anything, but his closeness spoke volumes. The gentle pressure of his leg against Julian's was a silent question, an invitation. Julian felt a rush of warmth spread through his entire body. It was exciting, this quiet daring in the back of a moving car, surrounded by the rush of the city but tucked away in their own dark space. He could feel the soft fabric of Liam's trousers against his own, the subtle give of the taxi's seat beneath them both. Every small detail was heightened by the moment. Julian found himself leaning back just a tiny bit more, not pulling away, but subtly inviting Liam to continue. The night was taking an unexpected turn, and Julian felt a thrilling anticipation building inside him. The taxi rounded a corner, tilting them gently. In that slight shift, Liam's hand, which had been resting on the seat between them, moved. Not just a brush, but a soft, deliberate placement. His fingertips landed lightly on Julian's outer thigh, just above his knee. The touch was feather-light, almost like a question, yet it sent a jolt of electricity straight through Julian's jeans and into his skin. His breath hitched, and his heart gave a sudden, hard thump against his ribs, beating a frantic new rhythm. Julian's eyes darted to Liam's face. In the quick flash of a passing car's headlights, he saw Liam's lips curve into a confident, knowing grin. It wasn't a mischievous grin, but one that held a hint of shared secret and daring. Liam's eyes, dark in the dimness, met Julian's, holding his gaze for a long moment that stretched the silence in the taxi. The subtle movement of Liam's thumb, a gentle, almost imperceptible stroke against Julian's denim, made Julian's stomach flip. The alcohol, which had made him feel warm and cozy, now intensified every sensation. The hum of the engine, the fleeting city lights, the faint scent of Liam's cologne, everything was magnified. Julian's mind raced, trying to keep up with the sudden shift in their night. This was more than just comfortable closeness. This was an unexpected adventure, a silent dare played out in the dark confines of the taxi. He couldn't look away from Liam, caught in the spell of the moment. The light touch on his leg felt both innocent and incredibly bold, an exciting promise of more to come. Julian's heart hammered, a happy drumbeat in the night. Julian's mind buzzed, a delightful mix of surprise and a growing thrill. He hadn't expected Liam to be so bold, not tonight, not in this way. Yet the surprise wasn't unpleasant. It was like a sudden splash of cold water on a hot day, startling, but ultimately refreshing. A small, almost imperceptible gasp escaped his lips, quickly swallowed by the hum of the taxi. His eyes, wide and bright in the dim light, were locked on Liam's. He felt a blush creep up his neck, a warmth that had nothing to do with the alcohol now. This was a different kind of heat, one sparked by the daring of Liam's touch and the unspoken question in his eyes. Julian's heart continued its rapid drumbeat, a joyful rhythm that made him feel more alive than he had all evening. It was exciting, this new turn the night was taking. The confined space of the taxi, which moments ago felt cozy, now felt charged with a delicious tension. Julian didn't pull away. Instead, a tiny, almost secret smile played on his own lips. He let his gaze drop for a second to where Liam's hand rested on his thigh, then back up to meet Liam's eyes. The city lights outside continued their dance, but inside their private world, time seemed to slow down. The silence between them wasn't awkward. It was full of possibility, full of unspoken words and shared anticipation. He felt a playful challenge in Liam's gaze, and something deep inside Julian wanted to rise to it. He was surprised, yes, but more than that, he was utterly, thrillingly excited. Liam's eyes twinkled in the fleeting light of a passing billboard. His lips curved into a playful smile, a knowing, confident grin that held a hint of mischief. It was the kind of smile that said, "We both know what's happening here and isn't it fun?" It felt like a shared secret, a private game played out in the dark backseat of the taxi, far from the watchful eyes of the world. His thumb continued its slow, soft dance on Julian's thigh, a gentle rhythm that matched the beat of Julian's heart. Julian couldn't help but return the smile, a smaller, shyer version of Liam's. He felt a blush warm his cheeks, but it was a welcome warmth, not one of embarrassment. This was exciting, thrilling in a way he hadn't experienced in a long time. The city lights outside continued to blur, but inside, Liam's gaze felt steady and clear, like a beacon in the cozy darkness. He wondered if Liam could feel his heart pounding, if the electricity sparking between them was as strong for him as it was for Julian. Liam's eyes seemed to hold a silent question, a playful challenge. It was an invitation to lean into this moment, to explore the unexpected turn their night had taken. Julian felt a delicious sense of daring bubble up inside him. He didn't want this feeling to end. The soft pressure of Liam's hand, the warmth of his leg against Julian's, the shared smiles, it all wove together into a perfect, intoxicating spell. He found himself wanting to know what Liam would do next, eager to see where this silent conversation would lead. A whirlwind of thoughts spun through Julian's mind. What was Liam thinking right now? Was this just a playful flirtation, a bit of fun encouraged by the drinks and the dark intimacy of the taxi? Or was it something more? Liam had always been charming, always made Julian laugh, but this was new territory. The casualness of Liam's hand on his thigh, combined with that confident, knowing grin, made Julian's imagination soar. He found himself wondering, with a mix of nerves and excitement, what might happen next. His gaze flickered to Liam's lips, then back to his eyes. He wished he could read Liam's thoughts, understand the full meaning behind that playful look. Was Liam waiting for a sign from him, an encouragement to go further? Or was this the extent of it, a daring little dance in the back of a cab? Julian felt a delicious uncertainty, a thrill that came from not knowing. Every bump in the road, every turn of the wheel seemed to heighten the anticipation. The world outside continued its blur of lights and shadows, but inside, the focus was solely on the two of them. Julian's heart was still doing its happy thrum against his ribs, a steady beat that echoed his own growing excitement. He considered reaching out, perhaps covering Liam's hand with his own, but a delicious shyness held him back. He wanted to savor this moment, this quiet question hanging in the air, before finding out the answer. Whatever Liam was planning, Julian felt ready for it. The night, it seemed, was far from over. The taxi continued its journey through the city streets, a blur of motion and light. Inside, the quiet moments stretched, punctuated by the soft rumble of the engine and the distant sounds of the city. Julian and Liam remained in their silent dance, their eyes meeting occasionally, each glance a question and an answer. Liam's hand remained a warm, steady presence on Julian's thigh, his thumb still making those gentle, circular motions that sent little shivers up Julian's leg. Julian found himself leaning into the sensation, subtly shifting his weight to keep the contact firm. He felt a delicious sense of anticipation building, a slow burn that was both thrilling and a little nerve-wracking. The drinks had definitely lowered his guard, making him more open to this unexpected intimacy. Every daring touch, every soft brush of skin against denim felt like a secret message passed between them, understood without a single word. The city lights outside continued their endless parade, casting quick, fleeting shadows and bright streaks across the taxi's dark interior. Julian watched them, but his focus was truly inside, on the warmth spreading from Liam's touch. He could feel the soft fabric of Liam's shirt against his arm, the faint scent of his cologne, and the shared heat of their bodies in the confined space. It was a perfect blend of comfort and excitement. This wasn't just a ride home. It was an experience, a slow-motion adventure playing out under the cover of darkness. The quiet moments were filled with unspoken thoughts, the daring touches with growing desire. Julian knew this taxi ride would be one he wouldn't soon forget. Julian felt a curious push and pull inside him. One part was a delicious shyness, a tingling awareness of Liam's hand on his leg, a touch that felt both gentle and incredibly bold. It made him want to pull away, to hide his blushing face, to pretend it wasn't happening. But another part, a stronger, bolder part, urged him to lean in, to embrace the moment. The alcohol had loosened his usual hesitations, replacing them with a daring curiosity. He found himself fighting a small smile, a nervous flutter in his stomach mixing with a warm, rising excitement. His eyes darted to Liam's face again, catching the soft gleam in his eyes from a passing street lamp. Liam's expression was still unreadable in its playfulness, yet full of a quiet confidence that Julian found incredibly attractive. It was this confidence that fueled Julian's own budding boldness. He wasn't sure what to do, but he knew he didn't want Liam to stop. The soft pressure of Liam's fingers, the slow, almost absent-minded stroke of his thumb, was a constant reminder of their private adventure. Julian imagined what it would be like if Liam's hand moved higher, if his touch became less subtle. The thought sent another shiver down his spine, a thrill that made him press his leg back just a tiny bit against Liam's, a silent signal of his unspoken permission. He was shy, yes, but he was also daring, ready to see where this unexpected path would lead them in the dark, humming taxi. Too soon, the familiar landmarks of Julian's neighborhood began to appear. The taxi's engine hummed a little differently, a subtle change that meant it was slowing down. Julian's heart, which had been racing with excitement, now gave a little lurch of disappointment. He hadn't realized how quickly the time had passed, how deeply he had been lost in the quiet intimacy of the ride. The soft glow of his apartment building's lights appeared in the distance, growing larger with each gentle braking. Liam's thumb paused its gentle rhythm on Julian's thigh. The contact was still there, warm and steady, but the slight movement had stopped, signaling the approaching end of their shared journey. Julian felt a sudden pang, a wish that the ride could somehow magically extend, that they could just keep driving through the city's glittering night forever. The comfortable bubble of the taxi, which had felt like their own secret world, was about to burst. The driver, without needing to be told, began to pull over to the curb directly in front of Julian's building. The yellow glow of the streetlights flooded the back seat more fully now, chasing away some of the cozy darkness. Julian glanced at Liam, a question in his eyes. The playful grin was still there, but now mixed with a hint of something else, a knowing look that seemed to challenge Julian, to ask him what he would do next. The taxi came to a smooth stop, its engine idling softly. The moment of decision had arrived much too quickly. The taxi had stopped, but the moment hadn't. Julian felt a rush of thoughts, a quick battle between his usual cautious self and the bolder, alcohol-fueled version. The hand on his thigh, though now still, felt heavy with unspoken meaning. Was this the end? Was he supposed to simply say good night and step out into the cool night air, leaving the thrilling tension of the taxi behind? Or was there a way to keep this spark, this delicious electricity, alive? He looked at Liam, whose eyes were bright even in the dim light of the street lamps. Liam's smile was softer now, less playful, more expectant. It was a smile that asked, "Well, Julian, what do you want?" Julian felt his cheeks warm again, a pleasant flush spreading through him. He could feel the gentle vibrations of the idling engine beneath them, a steady pulse that mirrored his own racing heart. This was a choice, a clear fork in the road of his night. He could choose the easy path, the familiar one, and end the adventure here. Or he could choose the unknown, the exciting, the path that Liam's hand and eyes seemed to be offering. The thought of stepping out of the taxi, leaving Liam behind, felt surprisingly cold. He wanted more of this warmth, more of this thrilling uncertainty. The city lights beckoned, but the warmth of Liam's touch held him fast. Julian knew with a sudden certainty that he didn't want the moment to end. Not yet. Liam's hand was still on Julian's leg, a warm anchor in the suddenly brighter taxi. Their eyes met again, and in that shared glance, Julian saw a silent question clear as day. It wasn't spoken with words, but it echoed loudly in the quiet space between them. "Are you with me? Do you want this too?" The playful grin had softened into something more earnest, more open, a hint of vulnerability in his usually confident gaze. Julian's breath caught in his throat. This wasn't just about the daring touches anymore. It was about a choice, a path opening up right in front of him. The hum of the idling taxi was a gentle backdrop to the frantic beat of his own heart. He knew Liam was waiting for an answer, an unspoken agreement that this night shouldn't end here, not like this. The city sounds faded, leaving only the intensity of their locked gazes. Julian felt a rush of warmth, a feeling of deep connection that went beyond the alcohol. He saw in Liam's eyes a shared desire, a mirrored excitement. There was no need for words, no need for explanations. The silent question hung in the air, a delicate thread connecting their two worlds, and Julian, with a newfound boldness, was ready to answer it. He wouldn't let this moment simply fade away with the taxi's engine. This was a chance, an invitation, and he was ready to accept. Julian made his choice. Instead of reaching for the door handle or mumbling a quick good night, he leaned closer to Liam. His own hand, trembling slightly with a mix of nerves and excitement, gently covered Liam's hand, which still rested warmly on his thigh. It was a silent answer, a clear signal that he was ready for whatever came next. The small touch was a bridge, extending the moment, inviting more. A soft smile bloomed on Liam's face, brighter than any street lamp. He shifted fully, turning his body to face Julian, and the subtle pressure of his leg against Julian's increased. The driver, oblivious to the silent drama unfolding in his backseat, continued to wait patiently. But for Julian and Liam, the taxi had transformed from a simple ride into a world of its own, paused in time. Liam's eyes, full of a gentle warmth, held Julian's. He didn't speak, didn't need to. The shared look, the warmth of their hands intertwined, said it all. Julian felt a rush of pure joy, a bubbling excitement that made his heart feel light. This was it, the thrilling leap into the unknown he had secretly yearned for. With a soft intake of breath, Liam finally spoke, his voice a low, warm murmur that sent shivers down Julian's spine. "My place isn't far from here," he suggested, his thumb gently stroking Julian's knuckles. Julian's smile widened, a confident, happy grin that mirrored Liam's earlier playfulness. He knew this decision changed the end of their night, turning a simple taxi ride into the beginning of something much more.